Welcome back to CPS WebTips. I'm Connor, and in today's video, we're going to explore using Automate Studio's powerful Direct tool for calling BAPIs and remote-enabled functions to get data into SAP. For more on that, here's Frances.
Hello, welcome to another CPS WebTips Technology Platform Tips and Tricks video. The topic of today will be precisely Automate Studio, what is Direct and how it can be used. My name is Frances Escamilla. I am a solutions architect for CPS, and I will be presenting today. Today, we will walk through how to use Automate Studio, formerly known as Winshuttle Studio, to connect directly to SAP using BAPIs and RFC-enabled function modules, which is the modern equivalent of the legacy Direct functionality. Before we go directly into Direct and what it does, let's do a little recap of what Studio is. Automate Studio is a desktop automation tool within the Precisely Automate Evolved platform. It allows business users and functional analysts to interact with SAP using Excel-driven automation without requiring ABAP development. Automate Studio enables users to use three primary types of scripts: transaction, query, and direct. Transaction scripts, or GUI-based scripting, allows the user to automate traditional SAP transactions, such as MM01, MM02, FP50s, VA01, XD01s, XD02s, or in the case of SAP HANA BPs, among many others. The way this is done is that basically it records the user's actions as they interact with the SAP GUI. It is best for complex transactions with validations, process requiring SAP screen logic, and scenarios where there's no BAPI or API available. The benefits or the pros is that transaction is easy to record, it mirrors the user behavior, and it handles validations automatically. The cons is that it is slower in performance compared to, let's say, BAPI. It is very sensitive to screen changes, meaning that if something happens where a field gets modified, added, or removed from the SAP screen, the script itself would have to be modified to adapt. It is also less scalable to large volumes. The next type of scripting is query scripting, basically data extraction. Query scripts retrieve data from SAP tables or logical databases without executing transactions. This is best for reporting and data extraction, mass data downloads, and replacing steps such as S616 or SE16N. On the pros, it is fast and efficient. It does not change SAP, so users do not have to worry about making any harmful changes to the data, and it can join multiple tables. The drawbacks are that it is, again, one of its pros, it is read-only, so it does not update SAP, and it does require understanding of the SAP tables and relationships. The Direct, which is what we're going to be working with today, basically allows SAP BAPIs or RFC function modules to interact with SAP at the application level or application layer by bypassing the GUI entirely. It is best for high volume data loads, whenever there's stable and repeatable integrations, when there's API-driven processes, for example, in S/4HANA. Some of its pros is that it's high performance compared to transactions. It is more stable than GUI scripting, and it is aligned with SAP's API-first strategy. Some of the drawbacks or limitation is that it requires knowledge of BAPIs. It contains or has less built-in validations versus transactions, and it requires handling of structures and X fields. The question would be, when do you use transaction, when do you use query, or when do you use direct? Let's think about in terms of scenarios. Let's say in a scenario where there's no BAPI available, you might want to go with transaction. Whenever there's a transaction that requires complex SAP validations, it's probably best to go with transactions. When you have high volume data processing, maybe direct will be your choice. When there's an API that's available and stable, direct might be also your choice. Whenever you're going to do reporting, the one to go to will be query. In SAP S/4HANA, SAP strongly encourages the use of BAPIs and APIs, making direct scripting the preferred approach whenever possible. So just a very high level overview of direct. Again, direct or the BAPI method, as you want to, basically is one and the same. It allows you to execute SAP business logic via APIs. It helps you avoid screen-based automation. It improves the performance and reliability. So for these web tips, we're going to walk through a real-world example, creating or updating a material using a standard SAP BAPI. In this example, we're going to use the BAPI material save data for creating and updating a material master data. So let's assume that your business needs to create or update materials in bulk, and you want to maintain data such as material description, base unit of measure, material type, or industry sector. So instead of using an MM01 or an MM02 transaction, we're going to use the BAPI-based approach. So one of the first things we need to do is connect to SAP. Once we're connected, we're going to select on Create Script. Now, the workspace is open. We're going to go select either Search BAPI right here or do a search and type the BAPI. Let's do Search BAPI. And I will start putting in the name of the BAPI if I know it. Search. Select the BAPI I want to use. Hit OK. Give it a second for it to load the BAPI. So let's go ahead and start mapping our fields, remembering that we want to use basic data. So we want to use, let's start with material number, the industry sector. We're going to go ahead and select material type and select basic view to set the X. Then a couple more fields. Select our base unit of measure. And then for the material description, we're going to go to the table section. And we go over to the basic view, and it's going to show all the fields that we selected to use as our inputs. Want to take a step back just to highlight something. As shown in here, Automate Studio is allowing you to map both structures and tables. So we're going to go back to our mapping. And one of the other things that Direct does now in Automate Studio is that it automatically tries to define whenever you're going to need a loop. In this case, we're not going to use loops. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So I'm going to start selecting my fields, doing my mappings. For basic data view, I'm going to hard code a value for it. I'm going to input base unit of measure. This is going to be a hard coded value. Now you're seeing that the colors are purple and it's shown right here as a download. So we want to switch from download to input. So it's upload to SAP. The download is when you want to use a BAPI or a transaction to bring data back from SAP. What we're doing is we're sending data. So we're going to do upload to SAP. Now that the things are corrected, we're going to go ahead and go to the Run tab and start filling in our information. Material type is FERT. Description. and just create several materials with the same information. Okay, hit run. Because it's a new script, it's going to offer me an option to save both the data file and the script name. We can modify the script name. We can modify the data file, and we can modify the script name. We could also change the location of where we want to save it. For right now, I'm not going to modify anything, so I'm going to save. Hit OK, and it should try to execute. Once it completes executing, the log output is going to show what the results, and we will have the message on the log column showing that the material was created. Now, if there would have been any errors, those errors would have also been shown here. So for example, let's say I want to create a material and I'm missing basic information. For example, let's say we don't have the material type. This should cause the script to fail. We hit run, and it's going to give us a message. The messages that come would be what SAP produces. Therefore, if the message is not straightforward, you will have to have knowledge of the BAPI and what fields are required, and what fields may impact the behavior of the BAPI, so that you can more easily be able to determine what's the missing. And here it was very straightforward. It's asking for the material type. So we're going to go ahead and try again. And now our material has been created. What you can do now is, after you have done recorded your script, tested it, and ensured it works, you can go to the next thing, which would be promoting it to Evolve. You could publish the script to Evolve to work from an Excel template. You could convert it into an XML format to integrate it into an Evolve form to add it to forms and workflows. You can then put approvals and governance around this script doing an Excel workflow. You can scale the automation across businesses. Basically, there's a lot of features and there's a lot of functionality that you can do once you have your BAPI working. What I would recommend is for you to get into Studio, play around with BAPIs, try to run a couple scripts, try to remember testing what works and doesn't, remembering that all the required inputs for that are per transaction will also be required for the BAPI to execute correctly. So as a summary, what you have learned today through this video is what is Automate Studio. We did a little recap on that. When to use transaction, when to use query, when to use direct. We did execute a real-world BAPI example using direct. I hope you found this video enjoyable. I hope you enjoyed the material and that you learned something from today. Thank you very much. If you do have any questions and want to reach out to us, please keep watching our WebTips video or reach out to us in our team and see if we can better assist you. Thank you for your time.